Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to do a demo of MiniMax, specifically chat.minimax.io. And MiniMax is yet another chatbot, but it's very powerful and it's kind of like DeepSeek. It's Chinese and they have open source models and open source code, and it's very interesting, and I'm going to do a demo of chat.minimax.io for this video. And very quickly here, if you go to chat.minimax.io, you might see something like this, and you have the option to sign in. And as of right now, you have to sign in with a Google account. It doesn't give you any other options. And then once you're logged in, you'll see likely a blank screen like this with a search box you can ask. And then quickly, this is the MiniMax website. And to go to the chat, you just click on Start Chat, and it will redirect you to chat.minimax.io. And quickly about the company, it's based in Shanghai, and it's been dubbed one of China's AI tiger companies. And so far, I've been very impressed. Okay, so the first thing I asked it was, a thing I like to ask AI chatbots is to ask about the current world news. I like to check the quality of AI output because it allows them to check current news. So they'll do a web search, and this did a web search, and I think it used the most powerful model they had. And basically it did, if you ever use DeepSeek or something like O3 or O4 in ChatGPT, you'll often see output like this, and then it'll show you the summary of this is, it's thinking, and this is the actual output. So this is some current world news. So it's talking about Gaza, Iran, US politics, European affairs, and other global developments. And a huge wedding that happened recently is Jeff Bezos got married in, I believe he got married in Italy. And yeah, so that's been in the news. So this is quite interesting. So it gave the current world news. And now what I want to do is ask it a question that I ask it of many, I ask of many different, give me a second here. Okay, so I'm going to ask it a question about, let's say I'm going to ask it about describe the process of photosynthesis in plants. This is a question that is complicated but simple at the same time. And a lot of AI models probably would have been tested on this, or trained on this, would have been trained on this. And I want to see the output. So, and notice I'm not selecting the think option because that uses the most powerful model, but it's actually a little bit slow. I want to see how fast it is to get that. And also, this can search on the web, but it says specifically if you wanted to be creative, you should not select this. So let's click on this. Describe the process of photosynthesis on plants. In plants. I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking. So I'll read the top here. Photosynthesis is a complex biochemical process by which green plants, algae, and some bacteria convert light energy, usually from the sun, into chemical energy stored in glucose. This process primarily occurs in the chloroplasts of plant cells, which contain the pigment chlorophyll that capture light energy. Okay, so I think that's a great answer. And then it talks about NADPH. And it gives the chemical formula for photosynthesis, which is takes carbon dioxide and water and light energy and converts, this is glucose and oxygen. So I think that's a great answer. Now let's see if we can copy it. So what I want to do is click on copy. So click on copy the output. And this is similar to what you might see in ChatGPT or Google Gemini. So this outputted as Markdown code, and that's great. And if you want to copy this into a document, for example, what you can do is copy this into a site called Markdown to HTML, and then you can paste the Markdown text there, and then you can paste the copy the HTML output here. And this was the what I copied earlier from the news. And now this is going to copy the output. So photosynthesis is a complex biochemical process. Okay, I think it gives great output. And then it talks about this is the formula for photosynthesis. Again, it's carbon dioxide plus water plus light energy gives you glucose and oxygen. So I think that's the way it gives Markdown code, I think, is very good. And now let's ask it one question about this is something I tested in a AI model recently, and I'd like to know the answer. Write a poem inspired by the changing seasons. I'd be very interested to see how it gives the answer. So write a poem inspired by the changing seasons. And I'd be interested to see how it is. Certainly, here's a poem inspired by the changing seasons. In spring, the world awakens soft and new, with gentle breezes carrying scents of bloom. Okay, so that's a pretty long poem. Okay, so it's very good, and note that it's aligned well. So it's left aligned, and it's got these spaces. I'm not an expert in poetry, but I know this at least looks like a typical poem. And notice we've got let's see here. Well, oftentimes in many poems, the last words will rhyme, but it doesn't really look like maroon, moon, day, told. Yeah, so there's not much rhyming going on here. But I think the top looks good. In spring, the world awakens soft and new, with gentle breezes carrying scents of bloom. The earth, a canvas brushed with vibrant hues, unfurls her petals, banishing winter's gloom. So, although there's not much rhyming going on here, I think this is an excellent poem. Although, because I'm not an expert in poetry, I can't really say how much better it is compared to others, but I think this is great. And that's a complicated question, I think. Asking it to write a poem, I mean, that's high-level literature, and I think this is excellent. And again, I outputted like that, and so as I mentioned, I think this poem is great. And let's ask it one more question. Let's see here. So this is a question I often ask. Discuss the impact of AI on job automation, or I can modify it to say in jobs in general. I'm curious to know what it thinks, how basically AI will affect jobs in general. Will so many people lose their jobs? I'd like to know what it thinks about this. So it's a complex and multifaceted issue, that's true. So automation of routine tasks impact on low-skilled jobs. So automation has tended to affect low-skilled jobs more significantly. However, even some mid-level and high-level skill jobs are at risk of automation. So it can now perform medical diagnostics, financial analysis, and even some creative writing. And then it says here, basically, reskill and upskill. So workers will need to acquire new skills and also soft skills like critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Interesting. And I'd also think of critical thinking. I'd also think of this as a, I don't know if this would be considered sort of a hard skill, but yeah, soft skill is fine. Lifelong, so basically, I like this. So basically lifelong learning and reskilling and upskilling. That's a great way to keep yourself relevant in the world of, in the age of AI. So I think this is an excellent answer. And again, let's just see what it looks like. You copy it here. And then if you wanted to, you can convert this to HTML and put it in a document. I think that's a great answer. Okay, now let's ask it some another interesting answer. Let's say I want to start an online business. How can I start one and make money relatively quickly with low investment costs and run it 100% online? And this one here, I'd like to ask it to think deeply, and let's say I'll have it search as well. And let's say one more, I don't want any scams. I want only legitimate, and let's say only legitimate income. So there's a lot of scams online, but let's see if it's able to know how to do this with basically legitimate income. So this is, I had to do this thing. So this is kind of like if you use DeepSeek R1 model or the some of the better models in ChatGPT, it'll have output like that, and then now this is going to give you the actual output. So validate your idea. That's a great answer. So this is kind of like if you learn about MVPs or minimum viable product, it'll almost always talk about validating your idea. Okay, so low cost, high demand niches: digital services, printables, online tutoring or coaching, affiliate marketing, content creation. And then we've got different platforms for freelancing, digital products, Etsy, Teachable, print on demand. You've got t-shirts, mugs, and more. Affiliate marketing. And you can build a website or have some social media presence. And then you can do some teaching or coaching. And use some free tools to minimize costs. So this is true, WordPress.com, and even the WordPress.org is the actual code, and you can put the code on your own website. Although that does require some technical skills, but not that. And I'll hopefully in the future make more videos about WordPress. We've got Shopify. And yeah, so I think this is an excellent answer. Reinvest your profits. And then avoid the red flags. So avoid MLM or pyramid schemes. And I like that it knows about red flags. So it must have been trained on that. And some legitimate income, legitimate online businesses. So you got freelance writing or design, printables on Etsy, affiliate marketing via a niche blog, print on demand t-shirts, online tutoring. And I like that it gives a timeline, so it talks about different months, and I think this is a great answer. And this is what the output looks like, which I think is great. Okay, and finally, before this video is over, I wanted to mention that MiniMax is on Hugging Chat. You can find them on the, HuggingFace website, the HuggingFace website, and if you wanted to search for their models, you can go here. And I sorted by the most downloads, and we've got this one here has 456 billion parameters, and that's a huge amount. And looked at it, this is comparing to GPT-4o. It claims it has very similar accuracy or even better than many. So this is compared to GPT-4o, Cloud 3.5, Gemini 2.0, and so on. So one of its models has very great accuracy according to them. And they also have a GitHub page, and you can see the code for some of their models, and I think it's excellent. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This video was about MiniMax, specifically chat.minimax.io. It's a great chatbot, and I talked about MiniMax a little bit. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please Follow or subscribe for more. See you in the next one.